Pleasant good evening.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this press conference being facilitated by the Ministry of Education, Human Resource Development, Religious Affairs and Information. My name is Leslie Ann Johnson, and we're happy to have you today. And of course, welcome to all of you in the diaspora, my colleagues on Zoom, of course, those on the Facebook page, the Ministry of Education's Facebook page, as well as Mikey Live, GBN TV, MTV Real FM, wherever you are joining us from today. For today, we're happy to have you. So with us today, we have the Honorable Minister for Education, Emmeline Pear, the Minister for Education, Human Resource Development, Religious Affairs and Information. We also have the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Kevin Andel, Ms. Angela Finley, the Chief Education Officer, and Ms. Michelle Peters, Head of the Examinations Unit, as well as Ms. Michelle Braffett, representing the community for the deaf. And of course, we'll be talking Ministry of Education matters. Now, we know that the Ministry of Education had sent out a release recently which said that, of course, that the schools, public schools in Grenada will remain closed until further notice as we enter the Trinity term. During the time we had the launch of the Spice Math, during this COVID period, we had the launch of Spice Math and MSTAN. I'm sure the Minister will talk about all these just so that you understand better what is happening as we seek to continue to educate our students even while we are under this situation. So first of all, I'll turn you over to the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Kevin Andel.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me, on behalf of the Ministry of Education, Human Resource Development, Religious Affairs and Information, welcome you all to this press conference. It has become customary for the Ministry of Education, before the commencement of a new school year, to come to you, our stakeholders, to outline the direction of the ministry. Even though we are not at the beginning of a school year, the situation forced on us by the pandemic warrants that we come to you, our stakeholders, as we commence this new period in our educational service delivery. In this situation, we are required to embrace partnership, understanding, collective responsibility, and just plain old Grenadian resilience. Let us not forget that we are experienced in dealing with crises, and we are also experienced in emerging bigger and better. Therefore, the same is required of us now. We are indeed in trying times, but which is filled with new opportunities. And let us embrace these opportunities with a spirit of collaboration. This time calls on the Ministry of Education and just the whole education sector to remember that education is complex and dynamic. And this COVID-19 has made it much more complex and fluid. Therefore, the solution to our present educational challenges requires the principles of all hands on deck and no idea is a bad idea. As we begin this new term under new constraints, let us approach this period with innovation, openness, and the attitude as outlined by Black Stalin's Calypso. And I quote, "As this country faces its darkest hour, let us all remember, we can make it if we try, just a little harder." In short, our efforts and sacrifices now is an investment in our children's future. Let me take the opportunity to invite to the podium and to address us our Minister, Minister Emmeline Pear, Minister for Education, Human Resource Development, Religious Affairs and Information, to give us some updates and to outline the way forward for the sector during this period. Minister Emmeline Pear.
Thank you very much, P.S. Sandel. Brothers and sisters, good afternoon. I greet you today at a time when the world faces one of its greatest pandemics. Almost 150,000 people worldwide have died, and over 2 million people infected thus far by the coronavirus. about 50 Grenadians in the US and UK have already died. My sincerest condolences to their families, both here and in the diaspora. The uncertainty and gloom that hovers over the world at this time serves as a reminder that man is never in total control. Instead, we are always challenged to muster up all of the physical and mental resources with which we have been blessed to navigate through the deepest and most troubled waters. As we continue to celebrate the Easter season, we are reminded that the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is with us and will take us through. I therefore specially recognize all of our medical workers, police officers, and those who are serving directly and indirectly in this battle. I recognize our religious leaders who have used various means to communicate messages of hope to our people and for their daily intercession on behalf of our nation. I also express appreciation to members of the media and the staff of the Government Information Service for keeping the nation informed. I especially recognize and thank teachers, principals, education officials, the permanent secretary and members of the management team and staff at the Ministry of Education for your service. Brothers and sisters, Monday, 20th April, will be the first day of the Trinity term. But as a result of the virus, we are compelled to continue teaching and learning from home. Therefore, as we started last school term, we will commence this one with united prayers. At 8:30 on Monday, we are encouraging everyone to join the heads of the Grenada Conference of Churches and the Alliance of Evangelical Churches for 30 minutes of devotion. This will be coordinated through the Government Information Service, GIS TV, and we are inviting all media entities and social media platforms to support this initiative. Obviously, the resilience of the educational system will be largely dependent on innovation, digital transformation, and ICT integration. This situation presents an excellent opportunity to push ahead. E-learning will be a major vehicle through which we would achieve this. We cannot postpone or delay any further activities that would make us more 21st century ready in this time. Training and development of teachers to adapt to this new norm is therefore necessary. Development of new and more relevant content is as critical as the physical infrastructure needed to make this a reality. We are very fortunate that this process started before COVID-19. We leveraged the foundation that we laid to fast-track elements of our digital learning agenda. Before COVID-19, we installed broadband internet service in most schools throughout the island. We increased and replaced computers in schools, and we improved our e-testing capabilities. We commenced training of educators while we worked on developing an educational platform, and we started phase 1 of the process of procuring tablets and e-books for teachers and students. Immediately after we closed schools, we released alternatives to the regular face-to-face methods that we use for teaching and learning. We launched Spice Math, a new math program which features on GIS, MTV, and various Facebook platforms. Thousands have been viewing this series, and we are happy for the feedback. We intend to expand this program and to include other subject areas. We also launched MSTAR Learning Support Platform, and issued over 20,000 credentials to teachers and students, both in public and private schools thus far. Already on MSTER platform, we have made available links to various levels of content for students at primary and secondary level, such as CXC specimen papers and practice tests, syllabuses for most CSEC subjects, and a number of personal development courses for teachers and students. Additionally, the platform makes available educational games and other activities for students. It allows curriculum officers and teachers to upload content, and it facilitates communication between teachers and students, as well as teachers and parents. We will continue to add new content in the coming weeks. Although the platform comes with tutorials, in the coming week, we will launch 2 additional tutorials for students and teachers who need extra help to learn how to navigate through the MSTER platform. We will make these tutorials available through all possible means of communication. We will give additional support to teachers to improve their skills in the area of e-learning. District officers will also facilitate ongoing discussion forum with principals and teachers. Many teachers have demonstrated great competency in this area already. And of course, we will continue to capture and to share best practices in the coming weeks. I am thankful to Digicel and Flow for offering to support us in the way forward. Already, Digicel has 0 rated the platform and all other recommended sites so that no cost would be incurred. Additionally, data has been made available to teachers, and we have started to loan phones both to teachers and students to facilitate communication at this time. We therefore encourage all concerned to log on to the platform using the domain mygrenada.mstarlsp.com. While we are reasonably satisfied with the emergency measures taken to provide content, we are quite aware that there are still households that do not have computers. Since most homes have at least one cell phone, we have been encouraging parents to use their cell phone at this time, primarily to connect with teachers. Recognizing the challenges, we have gone one step further. We have ordered approximately 15,000 devices, of which 9,600 will come installed with about 18 ebooks for secondary school students. Although we have made significant progress in the technological advancement, we are very mindful that the psychosocial support is needed to assist principals, teachers, and students to cope. Our Student Support Unit and our Special Needs Unit have been providing support to all concerned in the period. This will be now expanded and far more structured in this term. Our counselors will be available on call to students, principals, and teachers for private counseling. They will also be available through call-in programs and social media platforms for general support. In the coming week, we will coordinate a weekly online parenting program to provide greater support and guidance to help parents improve their parenting skills and to increase their ability to support online learning. Since needy students are no longer able to benefit from the school feeding program, the government of Grenada took the decision and continued in March to pay vulnerable families on the SEED program the full amount paid before as support for needy students to go to school. This payment will continue monthly. Over 12,000 students benefit from this program managed by the Ministry of Social Development. Additionally, through the Ministry of Social Services, support is also being provided to families who are not yet on this program and have no source of income. As is customary, the minister and team will meet with all principals during the coming week. District officers will meet with principals and teachers thereafter. All meetings will be facilitated virtually. A guide to a structured timetable will be provided to schools, and the final timetables, which must cater for family time, mental breaks, fun time, and chores, will be shared with parents. No local examination will be administered during this period. Concerning external examination, CXC has indicated its intention to proceed with CPEA, CSEC, and CAPE in June and July of this year. However, the Examination Council has indicated that they are still monitoring the situation in the region and will act accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, based on our state of readiness and the proposed changes that CXC intends to make to the current structure of the exams, we believe that ideally we will need to be back in school about 6 weeks before the exams officially start. We have analyzed the situation carefully and concluded that if these exams must begin in June, and if school remains closed officially, we can put contingency measures in place to support students to sit the exams. We have indicated to CXC that our recommendation is for these exams to be deferred to September. However, we do understand that the ultimate decision will be made after final assessment of the regional situation and review of recommendations from all member states. I therefore encourage everyone concerned to be wise and to continue to prepare for all regional exams just in case they start at the end of June. Some schools have started uploading scores for CPA and CSEC. We encourage principals to request assistance if needed. While persons preparing for external examinations may need to learn new concepts at this time, for all other students, we encourage teachers to focus attention on remedial studies and reinforcement of concepts to avoid the introduction of new concepts at this time. It should be noted that TAM-CC and NULO are also supporting and preparing students remotely and are putting additional measures in place to provide even greater support. As it relates to our students overseas, we continue to assist them based on critical needs. Most have restarted their classes online, and we stand ready to assist where possible. Our education system has been forced to reshape itself in real time. COVID-19 has pushed us to adapt very quickly. We are aware, though, that not everyone has been able to make the switch successfully. To that end, when school reopens under normal conditions, we will implement a transition plan designed with the psychosocial needs of everyone in mind. It will include a national assessment to determine the academic support that every child would need, and a national enhancement program will be launched. No student must be left behind as a result of COVID-19. While we can all agree that COVID-19 has caused fear and interruption in our communities and our regular way of life, it will not break the Grenadian spirit. This is a period where we will emerge stronger together, a period where we will learn lessons and we would move ahead with the path that we have laid to accelerate the transformation of the system. The Ministry of Education, Human Resource Development, Religious Affairs and Information reaffirms its support to all stakeholders. You are essential throughout this challenge, and we highly value your service. May God therefore bless you.
Thank you very much, Minister. A lot for us to take in, and of course, a lot for us to report on as it regards the Ministry of Education, Human Resource Development, Religious Affairs and Information. So, colleagues, we turn over to you now. Are you ready with your questions? All right, Mikey, your hand was up first. Mikey, go ahead.
I would like to say hello and thank you for the opportunity again to be part of this platform. My first question is, what mechanisms are in place to assist the parents who are not able to guide their smaller children on how to use the MSTAR platform?
I think we should take a few questions.
All right, so Mikey, go ahead. The minister says we'll take a few questions and then she'll just answer. So go ahead. Go ahead with your other questions.
Okay, all right. And my other question is somewhat a follow-up to the same question. What about the parents who are heading back to work? What expectations do we have of them? Because they may be occupied and at the same time will be expected to assist their children with these online platforms.
You have any other? Or that's it for now?
That's it for now.
All right, thank you. Sherry-Ann, I saw your hand up, and then Callistra, we'll come to you.
Yes, please. Good afternoon. My first question would be, as it relates to the minister said that the proposal was to defer exams to September. In terms of secondary school children, I would like to know what sort of benchmark will be used for promotions to the next form. And then as it relates to on the virtual teaching, so some teachers, they have been asking if Bryden and Miners and these stores, what extra they're trying to do to teach the children, but they were asking how soon something can be had for these places to be open to further system. And finally, for now, in terms of monitoring of students, and once you would have handed out those tablets, and what mechanisms would be put in place to ensure that these tablets are used for the purpose intended to?
That's it for now, Sherry?
Yes, that's it for now, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Can you just ask her to go back to the question she asked that related to Bryden and Miners? I did not get that.
Sherry, can you just go back to the question you
Yes,
spoke of? Yeah, with Bryden and Miners.
Okay, I was putting forward that one on behalf of some teachers. I don't know, they were asking how like those stationary places and so will be opened. I don't know if it's because they're trying some additional strategies in terms of teaching, but I was told to ask that particular question to further assist them.
All right, thank you, Sherry. Callistra, go ahead with your questions.
Okay. I wanted to know what percentage of our entire student population, because obviously the Ministry of Education has a full count of all students, what percentage of our students are currently not able to participate in e-learning as a result of not having Wi-Fi access or not having a device? Now, my second question, 15,000 devices coming in. Can the minister tell us how these devices are going to be? I'm not sure if she said it in her presentation, I didn't hear. How will these devices be distributed among the student population? I'm assuming it's the students. So how would that be distributed? Who's getting it? And what percentage currently of our students are disadvantaged by the fact of not having a device or not even having internet in their homes? And hopefully, Les, I can get another bite of the apple before the conference is over.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll make some general comments and then I'll ask my colleagues to add in wherever they feel free to do so. As it relates to support for parents and the other question that related to when parents go back to work, there are parents who are already out at work. And we want to encourage parents, as they would normally do in the August vacation, the 8 weeks that they're not at home, when their children are at home. And we want to even encourage them to do even better than then, to ensure that they leave their children with responsible people and that they do everything possible to ensure that their children are protected. Let's remember, it's not the first time. We have 8 weeks in August, we have over 3 in December, and we have 2 in April, where parents are normally at work and children are normally at home. We just want to encourage them to be responsible parents as they go off. Additionally, we are going to find a way to, as I said, on all possible medium that we can find. So wherever parents and children would normally interact, we would try to get the information as it relates to the tutorials there so that they can be guided well as to how to use those platforms. Benchmark for measurement of promotion. We have not concluded the discussions on promotion as yet, but what we are going to do is to ensure that seamlessly we facilitate the upward movement of students in this season and in this difficult time, and to ensure that no child is disadvantaged. So our policy decision is that children must not be disadvantaged in this process. Stationary, as you realize, we always guided by the COVID team making the decisions and the regulations that are announced. And as soon as those facilities can be open, I'm sure they will. And we are going to communicate with teachers and principals alike as it relates to this. Monitoring of students on those devices. One of the beauty of the tablets, which comes with the ebooks, is that there will be the ability to monitor what students are doing. As a matter of fact, a teacher would be able to stay at point A and block what a child is doing at point B. And so there are also limitations as to what sites the child can use the device to access. And as it relates to the distribution of the devices, the PS can speak a bit towards that. We have a breakdown as to how we're going to actually do that. And as it relates to students and Wi-Fi and devices, we do know, and we have been getting feedback. We have not collected all the data, and we are in the process of doing that to ensure that when we reach the stage of distribution, that every child is covered.
Good afternoon again. And in regards to the distribution of the tablets would be based on students without a device. Our education officers, they have been working with the principals and teachers in the last few weeks to determine the students who don't have a device. Because I would say to you, we cannot provide every student with a device as of now. But we are making sure, for the primary school I'm speaking about, for the secondary school, the 9,000 devices we're going to get tablets would be for every student at the secondary school and every teacher. And these tablets would have the ebooks system on it. In the primary school, however, we are looking to provide for the students who don't have a device at this time, and this would be phase 1.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I see Mikey has his hand up again. No, Raul Patterson was there before. Raul, good afternoon. Mikey, just 1 sec.
Good afternoon to you, and of course, good afternoon to all. My first question is, what is the best policy that could go into place for the reopening of schools? Is it going to be the parish basis based on, of course, the information of COVID-19? I ask that in the context of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, where, of course, thank God, there isn't, quote-unquote, any case in Carriacou and Petite Martinique. So it's going to be, could be a case of parish by parish in terms of the reopening of schools, or it's going to be a one-size-fits-all.
Do you have another one, Raul? Do you have another?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go right ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Right. The second one, what are the fears and concerns of the Ministry of Education in light of the fact that schools are often seen as a melting pot for contagious diseases and viruses? what is going to be happening in going forward? The mere fact that we expect the issue of social distancing breaks to be extended for a very long time, even after, of course, the country is cleared of all COVID-19 patients. So what is the concern for the ministry in going forward as it pertains to kind of social distancing, when considering that, of course, it's very difficult and maybe impossible to ensure that you have social distancing on the school compound?
All right, thank you. I have a question here from somebody's asking, for teachers who have been conducting effective virtual teaching via other platforms like Edmodo and Google Classroom, is it mandatory that they switch to MSTAR, or can these teachers continue using these platforms? And somebody else has also asked what is happening with regard to pre-primary schools, because they say they didn't hear any mention of pre-primary schools.
The policy, I think Raul made mention of that. What would be the policy for when we reopen school in normal settings? Well, of course, we would be totally guided by the regulations and what is it that the health officials are saying is appropriate at the time. So while in our head we do have a plan, which you're right, we are thinking a phased approach, but we are going to be instructed and guided by the regulations. And you're right, social distancing will have to be the new norm, and we would have to find ways to do it. And that is why our strategizing is placing a lot of emphasis on how do we do that. Another area is our toilet facilities. We have to make sure that we put some new systems in place to facilitate cleanliness and to facilitate students operating in a healthier environment. Teachers and Edmodo, CEO, you want to comment on that? And the preschool, I would ask you to just comment on that. And then I'll just make a closing statement.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. With regards to the MSTAR platform versus the other mediums, we did dispatch a circular to schools during the last term, indicating that they are to continue using the platform as they are doing, but that they have to move also as time permits and circumstances permits to become familiar with the MSTAR platform, because soon it will become the ministry's official medium for dissemination of all information. But it's a process that we are moving through, being mindful of the constraints under which we are operating at this time.
And I'll just quickly add to that at this time, we are not pressuring or forcing teachers to do the transition. We are encouraging them, because of the advantage of the platform, that they do the transition, but at a pace that they are comfortable with and at a pace that they believe that would be in the interest of the students. So, for example, from what I've outlined and what we would additionally share in the week coming, teachers would realize that the Edmodo platform, while it's a good one, my children use that platform, but already they themselves can see what additional benefits come from the MSTAR platform. But I just want to add and to reiterate, we are not pressuring teachers to say that you must move on Monday over to the MSTAR. As a matter of fact, I would advise any teacher that you can explore both at the same time.
With regards to the preschool students, even though it was not probably emphasized, currently we have over 20,000 credentials and for students, and 1,500 for teachers. That has been already issued, and that includes students of the preschool group. On the platform, there's also access to a lot of resources from nursery all the way up to Cape. So no one is being left out in our plans.
All right, colleagues, we're coming back to you. Mikey, you had your hand up first, I think. Oh, wait, just hold on. Let's just give Jared a moment, and I'll come back to you, Mikey and Sherry. Jared, good afternoon. Go ahead.
Okay. I did not hear it. However, correct me if I'm wrong. What are the plans for special education students during the lockdown? Since then, school would not be reopened and will be going virtual. That's my first question. And
Go ahead.
a follow-up, yes, a follow-up, you, Minister, you would have highlighted that you would have encouraged parents to leave their children with responsible people. However, does not that go against the social distancing requirements in terms of visiting? Although you're leaving for work, but you should just leave for work and leave for work only. Having to move or drop off your child or children, it might have to be in a different community or parish because that's the person who you trust. So how does a parent choose to really leave their child with somebody responsible if they don't trust someone in their village or community?
That's it for you, Jared?
Yes.
All right, good. Mikey, go ahead with your questions.
All right. So when we talk about e-learning, I am thinking about the academics and also technical aspects of things. One's inability to really maneuver the devices that are required to do the e-learning. So, what mechanisms are in place to assist those who may having technical challenges? And how will teachers be able to evaluate a student's readiness to sit external exams if they're having those sort of challenges and so on, and they are not, as the minister said, having any local exams?
Okay. Do you want it? Sherry, do you have a question? Another question?
Yes,
Go ahead. So
it's a follow through to, or I should say, what Mikey asked. My question, though, is that we do know that the students are advanced than the parents. So I don't know if it was mentioned in the statement, but I would like to know what would be done to bring parents on par to be able to help monitor and ensure that the children are doing their work. And additional to what I asked before, they are also inquiring about the hanky.
I'm not sure we got the last part of what you said.
Okay, the last part I was saying that in the beginning I mentioned about the bridens and minors, but they're also inquiring about hankies and the computer, yes, maybe to get whatever necessary to assist them with the children.
So I'll make some general comments and then I'll ask Mrs. Peters-George to comment a bit with regards to the readiness of students and what has been happening there. Special education, special needs students, and you may realize that I did not specify, and that is because as a ministry we are moving further and forward, looking at the subject of inclusiveness. We have to try as much as possible to get away and from the stigmatizing and the separation of our students with special needs. And so we do have our officers, and they are part of the regular district education team. They have been following all the same guidelines. They have been working with parents and principals and teachers, providing support, providing assignments, providing guidance. And we continue to do that. Of course, they will need extra support because they are extra special. And so we will continue to do that as we move forward. So there are officers, a number of officers in various specialities who are working with our students with special needs. As it relates to social distancing and children who have to go to other family members, of course, as we get closer to that bridge, we are going to be given special guidance, and we would be encouraging parents to follow those guidance. And I think I want to use this opportunity now to say, please allow the Ministry of Education to be the official means through which you get information as it relates to education. And so we would advise parents accordingly when we get to that point based on as we go forward with new regulations, we are going to monitor and we are going to give advice as we go along. The technical challenges that we're having and the readiness of students, a lot is being done. Of course, as I said before, we will have challenges, and I'll allow Mrs. George to make some additional comments there. And the final one, in terms of how do we monitor our students out there, our district education officers or curriculum officers, as they have been monitoring in normal times, they are expected to continue monitoring through principals and teachers and to provide reports accordingly. And then from the Ministry of Education, we follow up with support. So the structure and the system, that is alive, and we continue to strengthen that as we go along. It's a new season, and we adapt into that, but of course, I'm quite confident that we are going to get through this successfully.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. In terms of the readiness of our students for assessment, we have a team to assist us with that. We have our curriculum officers, our education officers, and of course our IT specialists, and they will be responsible to assist, really, to ensure that our teachers are able to provide the sort of assessment that is needed for our students to move to the next level. But one thing I must emphasize is that we are doing continuous assessment, and most of our teachers have already data that will that we can use to evaluate students' performance over that period of time. If you look at it, the first term in particular, we already have grades that we can use to assess students and their readiness, and we also have portion from the second term that we can use to assess the readiness of our students. So I think we are basically ready, because it's not just a one-shot assessment process that we have at the Ministry of Education, but we have what you call a continuous assessment. In terms of what is happening going forward, there are a lot of ways that the IT specialists can set up so that students can be assessed through various quizzes and so online to assess where they are at this particular time. And I have no doubt that we as a Ministry of Education will be able to pull that off and ensure that students can be promoted to the next level soonest.
Thank you. So, colleagues, I'll come back to you in a second. Let me just take a couple from online, although I think we went into it a little bit. Somebody's asking, once we are doing e-learning, no national exams will be taking place. If schools do happen to reopen physically, will national exams then be reinstituted? There's another. How will distribution, I guess, of the devices be done in homes where there are students at different levels? Another one. Can the government speak on school fees for private and public schools? And then let's just squeeze in this other one quickly, and then we'll go back to our colleagues. Can the minister or the PS share the number of teachers who were placed on study leave with salary during the pandemic and the government has considered for these teachers so they can survive this period? And what is the situation with TAMCC with regards to the TVET courses?
So I would say the question with regards to national exams, and I would allow Mrs. Peters-George to expand on that. We are saying in this period there will be no national exams, so MCT and so on, that is off. When we get back, there will be an assessment, and this is not for who came first, who came second, or what's your score. The purpose of that is really to assess where exactly you are, where your weaknesses are, and how we can help you. So assessment at this time is really purposeful when we speak of assessment going forward. The distribution of devices, just to go back to remind us that we are in a crisis, and we did not have devices prior to the start of this crisis. And so the giant step we are making forward, when those devices arrive, by then we would have had scientific data collected to make the most informed decision as it relates to distribution, and we anticipate the full cooperation of all teachers and all other stakeholders involved in the process. The matter with regards to study leave, I'm not aware that we've had any complaints or any issues raised, but I'll ask the PS to comment on this.
We have not had any complaints, and if there are specific complaints, I would really encourage that the affected officers report to the ministry via our online platforms to outline the case, and we would deal with the case individually, because it's important for us to address these human resource matters speedily. In regards to the question that spoke about students at home where you may have multiple users within a household, I want to say that the device can accommodate multiple users, because every student will be given a credential, and you can use that credential to log on onto the device, but not only the device, but also to log into our platform. So really, if there's a household with 5 students and there are 2 devices, it is important that the parents manage and allow different users to use the devices, because it would be foolhardy of us, based on our economic situation where we are, to give every household for every child a device. That would be in the future as we move forward and as things improve. But as of now, to deal with the situation regarding providing devices for the students that really don't have a device and need to participate in the e-learning process, it is important to note that it is not really about how many devices are in the house, but really access and the credentials to access the various systems. So this is the answer to that question.
I'll just add one more thing in addition to what PS said. One of the things we'll be speaking to principals about in our upcoming meeting this week is that teachers given assignments must ensure that the due date is not too tight, to ensure that if you have multiple students in a home, that they have sufficient time to complete that assignment if they're using the same device. So an assignment that could be due within 24 hours, you may want to give it a due date as in the next week, to ensure that that child has sufficient time to access a device to complete that assignment. So we are looking at all the possible ways in which we can get this done effectively with all of the constraints that we have, reminding ourselves that this is not normal times.
You want to make another statement, PS?
Yes, I wanted to speak to the platform itself, to really outline that the platform that we're using is on the Moodle platform. And those of you who have studied online would understand what I'm talking about. It's a very robust system. It is a system that accommodates many varying forms of instructions. And it is important to note that it is also a software that can be accommodated on a multiplicity of devices. So you don't have to have a specific device or a specific brand to access. But even on a cell phone, you can access it. Even on a very low-powered device, it can be accessed. And it is important to note that there are many integrations that can happen with that device. You can incorporate Skype, you can incorporate Teams, you can incorporate Zoom on the device to improve learning. And Grenada is not the only country looking at this model, and I think we're blessed to have it, because there are a number of Caribbean countries who are now searching for a platform. We already have a platform which has been in existence for almost the last 2 years, and I can say to you that it is a very robust system, and it is a system that can be expanded. And where we are now, there are a multiplicity of what we call open source educational materials which can be incorporated within that system. It also allows teachers to fashion the system in a way to accommodate their class. So it is not a system that is standard and it looks the same way or operates the same way, but it can be tailored to suit the different classes, the different levels of students, and it is a really robust, as I said before, a robust system, and we are blessed to have it. And we are looking with our IT specialists to update it and make it more accommodating. Not only that, it is easy to maneuver. I am not an IT person, but I was able to go on, and within half an hour, I was able to go through the whole system and do a number of functionalities within that system. So going forward, as we provide the tutorials for students and teachers, we are going to expand it a bit to also have in our parenting program to have many sessions that target parents in regards to monitoring the system and using the system.
Okay, just to add on the issue of monitoring, the platform comes with analytics. So teachers will be able to know how much time the students spend on it. Principals, likewise, how the level of interaction of teachers, and at the highest level, at the ministry as well, analytics are available so that we can monitor what's happening on the platform, where the students go, whether or not they are on task with their assignments. The students would be alerted of their deadlines for submissions, and also the feedback on their performances. That's all built into the system. On the issue of the distribution of devices and the support for the platform, I also want to acknowledge the partnership that we have so far been benefiting from with regards to Digicel. Over 331 teachers on the 18th, between 18th and 20th of March would have received or did receive 15 gigs of data for use on the system. And that does not include, of course, the platform itself, which, as Minister said earlier on, is zero rated. Also, for persons who do not have Digicel phones, the Digicel has also given 167 devices, which we are now finalizing the distribution process for. So a lot of help, thank God, is on the way, and for that we are forever grateful to our corporate citizens such as Digicel, and also reference was made to Lime, who is coming through also with support for the platform. Yes.
You want to make another statement, Ms. George? Yes, go right ahead.
Just before Mrs. George go, I would also want to ask that when she comments, she would also just expand a little bit on the external examinations, generally.
Okay, in terms of the standardized assessment, of course, the local standardized, that would be the MCT examination. We will not be having that examination, as Minister mentioned. And the reason being because it's not really a high-stake exam as the other examinations, the CPEA, where you're considering it for movement to the next level. Then you're talking about the CAPE for scholarship, CSEC examination, and so forth. So definitely, we will not be going back to the MCT examination for this year. However, it will continue based on what is happening for the following batch of students the following year. In terms of examination, the external examination, we're still basically having discussions with the Caribbean Examinations Council to ensure that at the end of the day, the period that the examination is set, it is one that is au fait with the Caribbean region in entirety. We have a plan in place. We have already identified various ways of doing our training for our administrators, our supervisors, our proctors, and so forth, just in case the situation continues using a Zoom platform. We've also considered, in terms of placement of our students, the CPEA and otherwise, we have looked at that. How a student's going to move on to the other level if there is a state of no return, if the examination at the CXC level is no longer viable. And of course, we're looking at the plans and looking what is best for our students. But one thing we know for sure at the examinations unit is that, and the Ministry of Education as a whole, is that no child will be disadvantaged when you're speaking about the examinations. Minister mentioned it before that we're going to ensure that students at least have a 6-week period to prepare for the examination, the external aspect of the CSEC examination. And I must let you know as well that we, in terms of the SBA, we have already received scores for CPA. We have already received scores for our CSEC subjects. The only areas that we're seeing a problem here, probably, well, not really a problem that we can't deal with, is really the sciences and the TVET areas. And of course, once the protocols are lifted, definitely we'll see how we can work best with our schools, our teachers, to ensure that every student, and when I say every student, really registered for those subjects, that they have a grade at the end of the day that can be assessed. Okay, the best possible score.
Thank you. Okay, so let me come back to my colleagues. Callistra, go ahead.
Yes, I asked this question before, and the minister answered it in parts, where she talked about the 15,000 devices. That's making devices available. Now, if my memory and my information serves me correct, there are people in this country with children who have neither electricity in their homes and, by extension, no access to internet. A lot of people are putting data on their phone, and I'm not sure how well some data on your phone is going to serve when you want to have hours of sustained use on a device for access. So this is, can the minister attempt to deal with that aspect of it for me? What about the people who do not have access to use those devices? We're giving people tablets. What about those who are going to have it but have no means of getting on the internet? Or is it a situation where absolutely every Grenadian now has electricity and internet in their homes?
All right, thank you so much, Callistra, for giving me opportunity to explain further two things. One, I'll speak about the issue of electricity, and I can speak as a parliamentary representative, as a member of the cabinet of the government of Grenada. About 2 years ago, the government made a statement as it relates to homes where there are students, where there are children, and families needing assistance to connect electricity to their homes. And so I know in many communities, and I can speak also for my constituency, once persons come forward who are vulnerable, need assistance, we have been assisting with the material to wire the homes. We've been assisting with the cost of connection of electricity. So there is that program that is assisting persons to have connections to their home, and we encourage persons that this service is available and has been available over the last 2 years thereabout that I'm aware of. Secondly, one of the things we have done, and I've said before, I'm sure the data and the statistics shows that almost every home in Grenada has a cell phone, irrespective of your level of poverty, and sometimes probably the poorer you are, the more phones you might have in some cases. So we are indeed blessed with the number of cell phones that we do have. And I see ordinary persons sometimes with 2 different cell phones and sometimes 3. So we are saying that in this time, we are indeed blessed that we have so many cell phones on island, and we've been checking the numbers across island. Now, what we are saying as a result of this, you do not need to have data that will take you through a day of access on the platform. All you need to have is enough data to connect. So I'm not sure what is the basic amount, if it's $1, $3, what have you. That can take you through for weeks. It can take you through for months on the platform. Why? Because all you need is the hotspot. But there's no charge. Your data would not be going down. It would remain stagnant. And so we are at a place where I'm sure many people at this time would really wish they are. And so we have to count our blessings, we have to build upon what we have, and we have to move forward in the interest of building our education system. So I'm happy, Callistra, that we have made some progress, significant progress in those 2 areas.
Go ahead, PS.
Yes, I just wanted to add also that all of our schools and most of our community centers under the CASIB project and the MES project have access. Once our students have their credentials, they can access the Wi-Fi at those centers. What we would have to ensure is that we get persons to be at these centers to maintain social distancing and to maintain order, and most likely create a time during the day when students can go there and persons are there and to manage the process. Now, areas that don't have a CAP center or a community center and school, we would have to collect that data and work with the NTRC or whoever it is so that we can make access available in those communities. But in regards to availability of internet, Wi-Fi, and also the zero rating of the site, it really cuts down the whole issue of lack of access to almost -5, if I want to say, percent. But it is really good. A lot of countries within the Caribbean cannot boast this because of the visionary approach to providing internet access to our students via these projects.
A comment, Ms. Peters? Go ahead.
Since PS has started the boasting, I also want to boast 3 exams. I must assure the general public, because I know persons may be wondering our ability to really do e-testing. And I must assure you that we are, because Grenada is one of the forerunners, I must tell you, in terms of e-testing. We were one of the first countries to move towards the e-testing offered by the Caribbean Examinations Council, where we have for CSEC, for instance, more than half, over 60% of our subjects are already being done, paper 1 that is, it has already been done through electronic means. So that's something that we have to look forward to. However, in terms of the CPA aspect of it, we're looking to turn our secondary schools into centers, whereas in the past we looked at primary schools as centers for the examination. We're looking at the secondary schools so that we can accommodate that, because this would be the first time that the Caribbean Examinations Council will be offering the e-testing for the CPA examination. Okay, and then of course we definitely will be able to accommodate that with the devices. And of course we have our CCSLC examination, and we also able to do e-testing. We have the capacity as well with the devices. In going forward, we'll definitely be able to do that. So I'm very happy that Grenada did not sit back and wait to move into the e-testing direction. I'm very thrilled now that we took that step the first year and went into e-testing. That will make us way advanced than some of the other countries who probably have never even ventured into the e-testing arena.
Thank you. Mikey, 1 second. Let me just take a couple from online again. Somebody's asking, is there a reporting mechanism through which teachers report to the ministry students who are not actively participating on the platforms, like doing assignments, so that efforts can be made to ensure each child participates and is not left behind in their education? Let me see. There's another one. Can the government partner with the business community to sponsor devices or give discounted prices for laptops to parents who wish to buy? Let me just go back to something somebody's asking about TAMCC. If students have classes at the same time, how do they share a device? How can you effectively rotate with different classes and different teachers?
So I'll ask CEO to comment on this, but I just want to grab the opportunity as initiated by someone on Facebook to make this appeal. I know some people are wondering what they can give, how they can help, if they should give food. I would say at this stage it's an excellent opportunity to consider donating some laptops to the Ministry of Education. So businesses out there, it's an appeal. You can communicate with the permanent secretary. We do have the specs of what is it that we need. And so somebody might just be able to match the 15,000 that we have ordered. So I want to thank the person who came up with this brilliant idea and to use the platform to appeal to corporate Grenada. And we know you have also always come through for this country, and this is an excellent way to come through again. So the reporting mechanism we do have, and CEO can comment.
Yes. With regards to the reporting mechanism, we are currently collecting data for the period starting the 18th of March to the 3rd of April. There's a Google form in place, and already principals and teachers have begun uploading. And within the next 2 or so weeks, we should be in a very good position to identify the most necessitous of our students. Yes, and it would be an ongoing weekly reporting going into the new term.
All right.
And Leslie, and I just want to quickly, before PS come in, I did say the corporate sector, but you may be an individual in a community. You may already have 3 tablets or 3 laptops in your house, and you may not have children in school, or your children may have those in addition. We do ask you to also look out for those who are in greater need. And so you may want to donate or loan what you do have currently that you may not have need for to somebody in need. But you may also be in a very good position. Government has been paying persons who are at home at this time their salaries as normal, and someone may want to be just generous to team up with someone else and to purchase a tablet for a needy student in the community. And I see the people who are here from GIS and so on, they're smiling, and I know they like the idea.
Yes.
Yes, in regards to TAMCC, TAMCC will be following the same protocol as we are following in regards to mainstream primary school and secondary school. And the whole issue of timetabling must be taken into account for accommodating the students at TAMCC at different levels and with different classes. As I said before in my opening statement, it's all about innovation. It's all about coming together. No bad idea. There's no bad idea in this case. Let us find ways that we can accommodate our students, that we can facilitate learning, because I'm telling you, we are going to be better because of this. I am seeing a lot of opportunities arising and coming up in regards to this whole aspect of e-learning. Before COVID-19, e-learning was moving at a reasonable pace. COVID-19 and post-COVID-19, I can tell you that the whole aspect of e-learning, not only for students, but also for adult citizens. Before COVID-19, most people didn't even know what Zoom was. Maybe they thought was the functionality on a camera. Now they know what Zoom is, and they're using Zoom. People are having watch parties like never before. We have more parties now than ever before. Our nation and the whole world is embracing technology in a mighty way and a significant way. So it is important for us as educators and stakeholders within the education sector to embrace that. We have the support of our partners, teachers, principals. I can say that our teachers and principals and other educators are working really hard. I'm a father of children, and I can tell you that I see the work coming in. I can testify about the commitment of our teachers and principals during this time. But we have a lot to do, a lot more to do. And this togetherness and collaboration and innovation would really put us where we ought to be as a nation in regards to education.
Colleagues, bear with me. Let me just take 1 or 2 more online, and then I'll come to you. Somebody's asking about if there's any truth to comments about Grenadian students being exposed to any racial victimization. I think they would have seen some report in China, so they're asking in that context. Somebody else is asking for the minister to repeat the website to be used. And can the ministry ask TAMCC to hold their own press conference to give updates on registration, etc., etc.?
So while you search for additional, and I'm sure you're also trying to wrap up, sorry, I didn't think that would be humorous. Let me just repeat the domain: mygrenada.m TAMCC.lsp.com. TAMCC, definitely we heard that, and we are going to try to facilitate an additional opportunity for direct interaction with the leadership at TAMCC. Private schools, I got a question on my phone. How are private schools featured in all of this? The ministry has taken a decision that we are opening our platform totally to all of our private schools. As a matter of fact, students and teachers from private schools already have access. They've been given credentials, and we're providing the support. The question that followed that was, will we be providing devices? At this stage, I can just say that we are looking at the interests of those students in public schools because of the limitation. So what we do for private schools is always based on the resources that we have. So when we do training, we include them. When we have principals meeting, we include them. Everything that we do is really dependent on the level of resources that we do have at this time.
Thank you. So, colleagues, we have to wrap up shortly. So let's see. Mikey, so we're going to sort of Mikey. Sherry, I think you had another one? You were waiting for a while. So Mikey, Gerard, Sherry, Callistra. Go ahead, Mikey.
Okay. In speaking of analytics and monitoring, does Moodle as a platform itself allows you to monitor teachers, and that is in an effort to make sure that they are properly managing their individual and collective objectives? Or will it just rely on their responses to the questions that you pose to them on that Google form?
Go right ahead, Mikey. You have another one, or that's it? Because we're going to just take all the questions.
Yeah, my second question has to do with the school fees and so on. What expectations do we have of parents as it relates to school fees?
Okay, so the next person is Gerard. Go ahead with your questions.
Okay. In terms of it's related to the private schools question, with the private schools statement, in terms of salaries for these private school teachers, since the schools remain open, closed, salary fees are not collected, how would the teachers receive any salaries? That's my first question. The MSTAR platform, how interactive is it? Is it a two-way interaction where students and teachers interact with each other, especially on a subject such as mathematics, where you might need feedback to go forward? Third question, in terms of parents gaining access to see their child's performance, is that accessible on the platform?
Okay, Sherry and then Callistra.
Okay, my question has to do the follow-up in terms of the devices. From when they reached to the ministry, what's the timeline of distribution? And just a follow-through with what Gerard just asked, the MSTAR, will it allow for face-to-face classes to be conducted? Thank you.
Thank you, Callistra. Go ahead.
Okay, my question a little bit more on the psychological side of things. Teachers are home, many of them have their own families and their own children, and so now they're being asked to manage their families and continue with their regular duties of teaching. Is the ministry taking that into consideration, and is there anything that you are looking at or that you could look at in terms of the added pressure that teachers would be under in managing their own affairs, being at home and continuing to teach? And when are the tablets getting here?
Thank you, colleagues. And the final one, somebody wants to know what is happening to the people working with the school feeding program. So I think we have a lot to deal with there.
So I would just attempt to quickly answer as many as I can. PS will add, and obviously I would use this opportunity to make a closing comment at the end as well. So I really do want to thank everyone for the questions, the comments, the ideas, and I've already instructed someone in the room to go through Facebook and to identify additional ideas and comments that we probably didn't did not even address here that we will address in the coming week. We are extremely grateful for the level of support we have been receiving, not just for the persons on the live today, but people who have been calling, principals, teachers, the level of cooperation, the level of support. I really have been impressed with the level of support we've been receiving from all stakeholders during this period, and it is one of the reasons why we are so confident that we are going to get through this very tough time successfully. The Moodle platform, I want PS to just expand a little bit on that, but I would just say this platform has been rated alongside university platforms. For those of us who have done studies online, it is actually rated at that level. So that would give you an idea of what we're speaking about when we refer to the platform. And teachers have actually indicated that to me, that the platform is not very different to the platform they're currently using for studies or they have recently used for studies. School fees and the private school, I want to use this opportunity to speak a bit to that, because some of the private schools have been calling and have been questioning as it relates to some teachers who have had salaries delayed because school fees have been delayed. I want to appeal to parents who have children in private schools. I can understand in a case where a parent has lost a source of income or is really challenged at this time economically. But I want to appeal to those who are not significantly challenged at this time to do consider that there are teachers who are providing support in our private schools and they are indeed awaiting a salary. And I want to encourage you, if you can communicate with the leadership of your school to find a way to make those payments available if you are in a position to do so. As it relates to other schools, as in the public schools, we are suspending all of those fees at this time. Of course, I want to also use the opportunity to say that if you're in a position to make those payments as soon as school reopen, do not use the funds for other reasons that are not necessary at this time. So let us all be considerate and let us all be supportive in this period. The MSTA platform, again, PS can just comment on that, the level of interaction. I've used it many times and I'm extremely impressed with the quality and the level. Parents gaining access, PS, you can also comment on that. But the distribution of the platform, I'll say this, immediately that we receive the platforms, the devices, we would begin the distribution. We are now putting the distribution system in place. We are collecting all the data, and we want to ensure that the day that the devices land on island, and Kalistra, we are anticipating within the next 4 weeks, we should have the full quota of those. So as they come in, we would distribute. And the psychosocial support, you are absolutely correct. We have been and continue to consider that our teachers and all other workers who are out there, while they are challenged to support their children at home, some of them are engaged in other work, and same situation with our teachers. But we have gone further to extend additional services to our teachers through over 50 counselors that we have within the Ministry of Education. So that service is not restricted just to students, but to our teachers and our principals. And as they lead, we do understand that it's a challenging time for all of us to lead. I'll ask PS to continue from here. Sorry, just before PS goes, school feeding. We continue to pay all our school feeding employees. So people in the kitchen, our cleaners, our security officers, all these persons continue to receive their salaries monthly.
In regards to the MSTA platform, it's very interactive. It is the same platform that is being used at universities all across the world. I studied on it, a number of you studied on that platform. What is nice about the platform is what noteworthy is that it can incorporate many tools. So for instance, we can a teacher can incorporate Skype onto the platform. They can incorporate Zoom onto the platform to do live lessons, and they can incorporate Teams. we are working with the Ministry of ICT so that we can access credentials and license so that we can expand to this service of Microsoft 365 to our teachers and students. This is in the working. Once we have that, then we would have a next platform to incorporate with the MSTA platform that would ensure that the e-learning experience is interactive and it is world-class. Moodle is, I would like you to research Moodle, look at it, look it up, and you would see how widespread it is used, how interactive it is, and how, as educators, we can use that platform to make learning a bit accessible in times like these. So I want to emphasize again, the platform can incorporate multiple users, we can incorporate multiple access, we can even explore the whole aspect of creating a next level of credentials for parents so that they can look at what their children are doing and assist. But presently, as we are now, access into the system would be for administrators, teachers, and as well as the students.
Okay, just to add access to parents, based on our Education Act, if a student is under 18 years, by all means, the very credentials that you have issued to the students, the parents can utilize same to go onto the platform and experience what their children are experiencing as well. And the other issue, the monitoring and the triangulation of data, monitoring, we have our mechanisms in place for triangulating data. As you said, no single data pool is complete if we are just to take it from one source and say that that's valid. There are means of validating data, and we are utilizing those. So at the end of the day, when you make decisions, it would be quality decisions from quality data.
Thank you so much to everyone. A lot of information, and colleagues, thank you very much as well. So we have had with us today the Honorable Emmeline Pierre, Minister for Education, Human Resource Development, Religious Affairs and Information, Permanent Secretary, Mr. Kevin Andel, Mrs. Angela Finley, Chief Education Officer, Mrs. Michelle Peters George, Head of the Examinations Unit, and of course, Mrs. Michelle Braffett from the School for the Deaf. We thank you so much, each and every one of you, for joining us. Have a great Sunday afternoon, everybody.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.